Hi, I'm Eleni, and I'm here talking about another version of looking at resistance as intelligent. So in the first video, what we did is we took the team and the executives, and we looked at a new triad for the executives. In this one, we're going to have the team and executives, but a new triad for the team. So this is always to say that we, from any organizational position, a societal position, we can always affect change if we start with a new triad. So we have to have a new internal context to be able to create a new external situation or result. So let's say, again, in case you didn't see the other video, this is about a team who feels annoyed and frustrated that some change is pressed or demanded of them. So they're resisting the change. They're thinking, I'm not changing, I don't think the change is good, and I think it's change for the sake of change. So that's the team experience. Let's say then the executives are really feeling and behaving the same way. They're frustrated and irritated, which is almost the same way, and they're resisting their resistance. So they're like, these people are not cooperative, they're being unreasonable, I want them to change. So you can see that these two groups of people, you can imagine them seeing each other that way. And one is saying, I resist the change, and the other saying, I want them to change, but they're resisting it, and I'm resisting their resistance. And it gets into a very difficult situation. And what might happen is this group might use their position power and demand the change, force it on everyone. And these people have to accept it, and they become, they feel disengaged and disrespected and less powerful or empowered to do their work. And there's a lot of research, as I mentioned in the first video, by Jeffrey Pfeffer specifically, who even has a book called something like Your Job Might Be Killing You, meaning that when we have lack of control, or we're not asked about change, we're not involved in change, and we feel powerless and we feel disengaged, that affects our physical and mental health. And that then creates additional problems, not only healthcare costs for companies, but problems in terms of collaboration and creation, innovation, etc. So we want to keep this kind of antagonistic behavior to a minimum so that we empower everyone so that they feel like they have a say, and then they're more likely to be able to feel resourceful and do their best in this context. So let's say then this team had the opportunity to learn about human-centric leading and learn that really resistance is intelligent. So they're starting to embrace resistance in themselves. They're going to notice the resistance in their own selves, and they're going to say, okay, well, we accept that resistance is intelligent because it's a form of understanding or sifting that the change that's being asked or demanded of me is not better than what I have. So I'm going to resist it. It's intelligent. So they're going to start to say, our resistance is intelligent. What we're being asked to do is not better than what we have. So they start to think, this is what would work better. Let's discuss this. They're being open and curious about how could we, talk with the executives to kind of make something better. So instead of resisting and the dialogue stops, they could start having discussion, or they could even show the impact of the change on them, on their work, on clients or customers, on their context from their point of view. Because remember, in every organization, each person, regardless of their level, they have different points of view, right? Someone who's in strategy is sifting everything through a strategic view. Someone who's in accounting sifts everything through an accounting point of view. So we all have our different points of view in organizations, and that's why it's useful for us to talk instead of just kind of use the common hierarchical view of top knows better, especially in a world where there's so much information, there's so much change that people, at the top, so to speak, of an organizational hierarchy can't keep track of all the information. So they must now be more open to trust other people to share what they know from their perspective. So this is what this kind of acceptance of resistance also kind of assumes. It assumes that we can have a dialogue and we can talk as humans, as equals, in trying to do the best for our team and our organization and our clients. So this is a much more powerful triad than this, right? So even if this group of people don't change, which it would be harder for the executives to say no to this than say no to that, right? It's easier for them to say, you're just going to do it because you're being uncooperative and that's it, than to this people who show in maybe pictorial way or in a way that's really clear that the change is actually not better from their vantage point. And then there's a discussion about which vantage point is more important. Is there a balance in this change? Like it's not so good here, but it's good here. And then there's more discussion and understanding of the change. And then this group can have more buy-in and this group can have more insight as to what's happening into different parts of the organization. So if we start to look at organizational life outside of a hierarchy, even if there's a strong hierarchy, you can still say, okay, I'm human, you're human. We can all look at things from a human perspective and say, what could we do together to respond to a specific change that we need to, or to make other changes to respond to requests and things like that. So it's like an easier way to come up with and bring together everyone's knowledge and capacity to affect change and to really do it in a positive way. So if you want to take a takeaway from this, you can ask yourself, how you see change and how you see yourself as a change agent. Do you depend on your position power? Do you depend on prestige or resources? Or do you depend on your knowledge and your passion and your motivation to create something positive? So that will allow you to really affect change from any organizational context. Many people feel trapped that they're not in an executive level, and so they don't even make requests or show people that, show executives that the impact might have not been thought through from every perspective, because they assume that executives are titles and their positions, and they forget to see people in executive levels as humans who don't have the capacity to see everything from every perspective. That's why there are a lot of people in an organization, so we can share perspectives. In addition, it assumes that executives start saying, you know what, I can't really do everything from my position. I don't have to do everything from my position. I can use my position in this organization to create a context where everyone feels like they have not only the right, but the responsibility to come and share insight as to what changes might be requested. And then there's a dialogue, and the executives don't have to feel like everything's on them to make every decision, which is an unrealistic responsibility and expectation in today's context when there's so much information and so much change at every single level within our systems and within our organizational and societal lives. So this really humanizes an organizational context and looks at each group, team, executives, not as like against each other, but with each other, trying to see which change is best for the team and organization together, of course thinking of all the stakeholders. So this is a very exciting way to look at problems or resistance that really empowers you to affect change in a positive way through dialogue and through accepting that resistance is intelligent.